Osedax uses the mythical cockatrice as its sigil. This serpent is born of a chicken's egg and said to have a deadly gaze or breath. Part hen, part dragon, some historians also refer to it as a basilisk. The Legion's colors are white, light blue, a vibrant red with a light bronze trim. The Legion is said to prefer close quarters combat, shrinking the gap with their foe before ripping them apart with powerful chain blades and energy fists. Hailing from the Forge world of Phaeton within the Segmentum Solar, the Forge was severed from Terra and Mars during Old Night. Though isolated in the darkness of the galaxy, Phaeton, being a Forge world, was able to provide impressive weapons through its smithing abilities, and Osedax would wield them in the world's defense. As Old Night persisted and the worlds of mankind remained fractured, Osedax stood strong in its world's defense with integrity, but the ongoing wars took their toll on the Legion, and the Great Forge's resources and materials dwindled with every engagement. This desperation is what led Legio Osedax and all of its engines that it could muster to strike out into the stars and attack a nearby hive world of pirates and void raiders called Coronal. The Legion landed and attacked unannounced, with all identifying markers erased from its armor. This was the first of many worlds surrounding the stricken Phaeton that Osedax would conquer in its Forge world's name. It was these actions that led to Osedax to gain its name, the Cockatrice. Like the mythical serpent, it was rumored everything they turned their gaze on was destined to burn. When the Emperor of Mankind connected Phaeton with the rest of the Imperium, given Legio Osedax's reputation, they were used as destroyers in the Crusade's vanguard, not as noble warriors, but as merciless killers of those who would stand in the way of the Imperium. Phaeton as a forge and Osedax as a legion found themselves under the oversight of the Mars Mechanicum and the Collegia Titanica, allied to the Emperor's cause. With victory after victory, the spoils of war led to both Mars and Phaeton prospering from Osedax's campaigns. During the height of the Great Crusade, Osedax became a powerful engine of war, powerful enough to rival even the great Legio Mortis in its strength. The renown led to Osedax's homeworld of Phaeton becoming arrogant and resentful of its overlords on Mars, and the plight of having to share the spoils of war with them. As Phaeton's hate for the leash that held them grew, its relationship with Mars began to fracture to the point of open insults and so-called battlefield accidents that took their tally on the forces of Mars. Osedax took advantage of every opportunity they could to overshadow and insult their Martian masters. With tensions between the powers about to hit open war, the Fabricator General Kelbor Hal and now named War Master Horus Lupercal began laying their plans to oppress the insubordinate Osedax and the Forge world Phaeton that they bore allegiance to. The traitors' plans began with the creation of an upstart Forge world to Phaeton called Atar Median, close to its proximity. To bolster this upstart Forge, Mars forced Osedax to hand over a full 1/3 of the Legion's god engines to act as the new Forge's guardians. This greatly reduced the strength of the Legion, Phaeton, and unspokenly reduced them to submission. When the War Master Horus sprung his trap of betrayal on his counterparts in the Legio Astartes on Istvan V, Fabricator General Kelbor Hal of Mars enacted his vengeance on the weakened and defiant Phaeton and its Legio Osedax. Kelbor Hal sent a fleet of haulers to Phaeton disguised as a prize to the Forge for their actions during the Great Crusade. This was actually fated to be an invasion force. The attack group destroyed all the vital infrastructure and overwhelmed the orbital forces of Phaeton. After the cyber viruses and damage was done, the Mechanicum haulers began crashing themselves into the surface of the forge, where more battle servitors would erupt to bring further destruction to the forge's surface. The damage done by this Trojan horse attack was only halted when an Osedax engine named Immersicorus self-destructed its own plasma core to destroy the invaders, allowing a small number of Osedax garrison forces to survive the assault. Even the engines of Osedax deployed in the vanguard of the Great Crusade were not spared from this heat of betrayal. Wherever possible, the traitor Horus and Fabricator General had the god engines of Osedax abandoned in the battlefield against overwhelming odds, or openly turned on by what they thought were friendly forces, free from the unprying eyes of friendly loyalist elements that were not present. When the dust of betrayal settled, Osedax was left fiercely wounded and greatly fueled by the thought of vengeance. Those that remained of the Legion quickly allied themselves with the Emperor and struck out to enact their fury on the betrayers that harmed them. But they would not be alone. The Forge world of Phaeton, owing its very survival to the sacrifice of Osedax, relit its forges and quickly rearmed the survivors of Osedax. They took to the battlefield a new ally, firm ally, of the Emperor with the best equipment and weapons Phaeton could offer. It's with these new arms and purpose that Legio made its presence known in the Horus Heresy. Horus and Kelbor-Hel had sought to shame a legion that had defied them again and again, but only succeeded in igniting a flame of fury and revenge. During the height of the Horus Heresy, Legio Osedax had around 75 god engines, a majority of which were Reaver-class Titans. Most of these engines were armed with bolters, meltas, and Titanic-class close combat weapons. Those left were incredibly well equipped, and the Legio maintained many Titans outfitted for siege warfare.